pretty well hidden.
Well, you know,
Unless you're going up
In
the
my-
semi-paved road.
in my avid golfing days, we tried to find every course there was.
Well, how long ago was that?
30 years.
Yeah, well, okay. They've been
Yeah.
around. I've been in this league for, this will be, I think, my 10th year, so they've been around. Yeah. But they certainly don't advertise over this far, really.
Yeah.
The league's almost all people from Harvard.
Okay.
So I said I was going to ask him here.
Well, yeah, they don't need the traffic. They're not going to seek it.
Good.
We got
She must be out today.
2, 3,
Oh, I wondered. Yeah.
6 of us.
Usually I'll send an
She said
email.
she was going to be on
I thought she said she was
Quorum
going
is,
somewhere
I
this
think
time.
I thought she
might be
did.
7.
Yeah, I
That's
think so.
okay.
And then the other
We got no
one, I
action
haven't seen
items.
her in a while. The one that was,
Yeah.
yeah, she hasn't been here.
Huh.
Votes or not.
Tom needs to say his attendance mandatory.
Oh, no.
You want to be on this? You want to be on this commission? Attendance
Oh,
mandatory.
no, now without no paycheck, you in a minute. I said too many.
You're here. You're here.
So what's next for you? What are you going to have to do?
Fishing in Canada in first week of
How
August.
about just do like a few excuses?
Inca Trail in Peru in
Like a
October.
3 or something.
And I'm starting to plan
But who would
a
excuse him,
long
right?
trip, like a month
Legal department?
in Thailand over the holidays. So like leave the week before Christmas and stay through most of January.
So no real goals.
Nope.
This is beautiful. We got an alderman here. This is great.
My goals are travel, enjoy the
Oh,
world.
April's here too. Fantastic.
Oh.
No, you came right where you need.
Uh-oh, the bosses are here to check up on us, huh?
They saw each other. They've been doing it. All right, now you're supposed to give us a warning when we active and live.
I'm sorry, the microphones are on, friends.
Thank you.
We got more people showing up than we have on the commission.
I want to honor Paul.
Are we ready to go? All right. Commission, we're going to call the meeting to order. We'll start with a roll call. Present.
Here.
Present.
Here.
Here. Here?
Thank you. So the first thing on our agenda is the acceptance of the journal for the Journal of Proceedings for the Community Relations Commission held on March 13th, 2025.
Move approval.
Okay. We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Well, that has been approved. We don't have any traditional public speakers tonight, but we do have an open forum. So for folks in the audience, there are people who signed up to speak, and then we have a few letters of people who were unable to join us tonight. You will each have 3 minutes at the microphone, and then we will take, as a commission, 2 minutes of questions. So, commissioners, before we get started, are there any questions or thoughts that you all have? All right, we will start with our first person. It looks like we have Haskile and Violet.
Thanks.
Violet, you can come right up here. Yes.
Good evening. Good evening. My name is Violet Joniker. I serve as pastor of Brook Road United Methodist Church in Southeast Rockford. And I bring you regrets from my friend, Pastor Kaskile Kimengele, who serves with me there at a church called Victory. We're so grateful that you are hosting this event tonight, and we just wanted to talk about the needs of the Swahili-speaking community in Rockford. So Victory is a Swahili-speaking church in Rockford, of which there are 7. There are 7 Swahili-speaking churches in Rockford, so I want you to know that. Swahili is also now the 3rd most commonly spoken language in the Rockford Public Schools. So we've got a lot of partnerships at the elementary schools like Constance Lane Elementary on Kishwaukee. Of their about 600 students, nearly 200 of them speak Swahili. And a lot of those families are recent immigrants from the Congo, Tanzania, Burundi, Zambia. A lot of those families are facing real challenges as far as housing, transportation, but most importantly, access to jobs and access to English language learning opportunities. So right now we've been trying to fill a number of those gaps through Rockford Public Schools, through Alignment Rockford, and through the faith community. But we just wanted to bring to your attention these increasing needs, particularly around transportation. Really, we're grateful to the city of Rockford for some investments that have been made locally. Pastor Kaskile has actually received some small grant funds to work as a liaison between the city and the Swahili-speaking community. That's one of 7 languages he speaks. He also speaks French, Kimbebe, Lingala, and several others. But he's a real resource, and so I hope you'll be able to meet him at another time. We'll make sure that he gets to come offer a prayer at a city council meeting at some point. So the reason that we just wanted to come was to make you aware of Rockford's growing Swahili-speaking population, to celebrate them, to let you know all the different ways that faith communities are working to welcome those folks, and just to really lay out that there are increasing needs as far as housing, transportation, and just ways that we can generally support folks who are really seeking to be a part of Rockford and really help this thriving community grow. And for example, one of the women at Victory has a catering company, and so she's really interested in starting a restaurant. So we've been trying to connect her with resources. Rockford does not have an African food restaurant, so she wants to start one. But there were just a lot of barriers for folks who are not only new to the community, but then trying to navigate a lot of different systems. So I'm sorry Kaskile is not here tonight. I'll love to bring him another time or have him send some letters, because he'd probably be able to answer your questions better. But we'd love to invite you to Brook Road and Victory to visit and meet some folks from that community anytime you want to come.
Commission, do you have any questions?
Yeah. What do you see as future influx of this community?
Yeah, a lot of folks came through Catholic Charities, and I did try to get some actual data for you, but anecdotally what we've learned is that there are a lot of folks who come to the United States and then go to different cities than Rockford, but then once you've got a cousin or a friend in Rockford, you go where your family is, right? Like any of us would. Unfortunately, because of actions at the federal level, we're not seeing as many newer immigrants coming within recent months, which has been really difficult, because if you're following the news in the Congo, the violence there is just unspeakable. And so a lot of people here are really grieving the loss of loved ones. There's almost always a funeral every weekend that is being recognized in Africa, that people are memorializing here in some way. So I'm not personally seeing or expecting a continued huge influx, but I will share that a lot of the families that are already here are growing quickly. So a lot of families have young children and are continuing to have more children. And certainly those kids who are born here are learning English and Swahili and Lingala and Kimbebe all together. So I think it's more of working with the population that's already here than expecting more to come.
So is there an ask that you have of us? I mean, awareness obviously is the first step, and some of the stuff you said is just wonderful, great to know. You said 7 Swahili churches, and then it's the 3rd most common language spoken in RPS 205.
Right.
With either of those, is there anything we can do to even further deepen awareness?
Thank you. That's a great question. One of the resources we've really been working on with the schools and with other agencies like the Rockford Regional Health Council is translating materials into Swahili. Many folks can read Swahili, and so if there are ever opportunities to support translation services here, we think that'd be really incredible. As far as signage or other public opportunities that are available, whereas there's already a lot that's in English and Spanish, we would love to start to seeing more resources in English, Spanish, and Swahili. Arabic is then the 4th most commonly spoken language in the schools, which mirrors the city. And I'll make sure you get to connect with Kaskile if I can pass his information on to you guys later. Thank you.
Thank you.
The next person on our list is Paula Olson.
Hi, I'm Paula Olson with Sustain Rockford. Sustain Rockford's mission is to protect our community's land, air, and water to benefit all. In 2021, we hosted Greentown Conference to a sold-out crowd to bring attention to the climate crisis. In 2024, we hosted Go Solar 815 Expo to inspire and educate our community about the benefits of going solar, including community solar. We continue to advocate for better sustainability practices, but we cannot do it alone. The Winnebago County landfill is projected to reach capacity in 10 to 12 years. Without action, we face rising costs, environmental degradation, and limited low-cost options for waste disposal. Currently, unlike households, businesses must pay money to recycle, which discourages participation and destroys materials that could be easily recycled. Did you know in 2021, America threw away 1 million tons of aluminum, mainly from beverage cans? Recycling aluminum saves 95% of the energy it takes to produce new aluminum, so the opportunity for impact is massive. So what's the solution here? We can extend the life of our landfill, protect public resources by reducing waste at the source, encouraging reuse, repair, and recycling through community programs at Keep Northern Illinois Beautiful, Sustain Rockford, and other environmentally friendly organizations. We can discourage single-use plastics such as water bottles, shopping bags, and foam takeout containers. We can offer businesses incentives to recycle, finding ways to reduce or even eliminate their costs. And we could also launch a food waste composting program. Why should we compost food waste? It makes up approximately 30% of the landfill content. Food waste is organic, approximately 30% of the landfill content is organic, meaning food waste and other compostable materials. It not only takes up valuable space, it also contributes to climate change. Food scraps that decompose in the landfills produce methane, a potent greenhouse gas that is 28 times more potent than carbon dioxide. Composting food waste turns that liability into a resource, enriching soil and supporting local agriculture. Anaerobic digesters can break down organics without methane production and can convert tons of food waste into compost daily. We must act now. We can build a smarter, cleaner future with sustainable waste solutions that benefit our children, our community, our country, and ultimately our planet. As Mayor McNamara said in his 2023 State of the City address, sustainability is no longer a choice, it is our responsibility. Thank you.
Commission, what questions do you have?
I'll start again. You're on a subject that's been my soapbox for many, many years. And I've looked at a lot of communities that have far more advanced recycling programs than we have here. A lot of times mandatorily because they have no way to dispose of certain materials. But there are communities that don't allow building demolition in landfills. It has to be deconstructed or it has to be recycled if it's recyclable. Aurora is the only place we can recycle styrofoam, that sort of thing. What do you see as future programs or barriers to them to simply encouraging greater recycling as opposed to landfill?
Sustain Rockford would love to see the city compost food scraps and food waste with the lawn collection, or partner with somebody that, that's 30% of the content is huge. It can also include, believe it or not, clothing is organics. So we'd love to see something like that happen. We'd love to see businesses not have to pay to recycle, because I know they're all cutting costs, and so all their aluminum, glass, and cardboard goes right in the trash.
So, I'm sorry, Todd.
No, go ahead, Mary.
going to offer up a little transparency here. I am co-chairman with Paula on the Waste Reduction Committee of Sustain Rockford, so you know where I'm coming from. But I do have a question for our legal staff. If you do know the answer to this, we have a very long contract. Is it 10 years with Rock River Disposal? How long is that contract? Okay. I just wonder what kind of latitude we have and what kind of leverage we have now that, you know, I mean, if indeed it is a long contract and contracts are complicated, I just wondered if the city has any leverage to get something like a compost program going. I would just love to know if that's a possibility even.
I know we're short on time here, but just two comments here. And I'm not familiar with the organization, but somebody dropped a door tag at my house a week or two ago about a new composting program here in the city of Rockford. But my question is somewhat related to what Mary just asked, and that is how much of a problem is this for Rockford, vice the broader community and even into the city of Chicago and the suburbs?
Chicago is composting. They have 6,700 households that compost voluntarily at drop-off sites. So we are behind the times. We are seriously very behind in our sustainability options. And
I guess my point is that I'm all in favor
Yes.
of these options and think it, but I think we're a drop in the bucket when it comes to the county landfill as compared to other users.
you mean the other users that are dumping there?
Yes, correct.
But
But yeah, right.
we need to do a better job. All of us, the whole
Every drop in the bucket
world
counts.
needs to do a better job. Thank you.
Thank you, Paul.
The next person that we have is Aaron Lopez.
Good evening. Thanks for having me here. I want to first thank the mayor, the aldermen and women, and the city council. They have been very, very helpful for me what I'm doing. I have a nonprofit they call Papa's House, and what we are, we're a service provider for the community for at-risk youth and for foster kids. I've been doing foster care for over 2 decades, and the thing I find here is that when kids turn 21 on their birthday, if they have nowhere to go, they're homeless. They're dropped off at a homeless shelter. So I was able to get, like 2 weeks ago, my first property. I'm going to turn that into so kids do not have to be homeless. We're only at the renovation moment time. I don't know how we're going to do it. I don't know how that works, illegals, but I don't want to see any kids homeless again. Also, what we're doing is we're going to create a hub. We're working with other small organizations in Rockford because one thing I find with Rockford is the communication is just not there. Like, this community has so much to offer, and the government has so many grants and opportunities and all, but the left hand doesn't know what the right hand knows. So and I just heard the earlier speakers saying that they just don't know. So if we have a hub that of all these small businesses, and you can just one-stop shop call, that's what we're going to create. The other thing I wanted to talk about is the rehabbing that we're doing right now. We're using youth that went to, was it the Youth Build, CCSS? We want the youth to build a better Rockford. We don't want to hire these big companies to rehab and do that. We want our kids to go to youth build, CSS, learn the trade, work with the guys. So the people that I'm working with, they have their own businesses. Ascension, Portafoy, maintenance. These guys overlook and they help. And I'm not hiring big old contractors to do this. We want the youth to build a better Rockford. So we're working on that right now. But the thing that I really need from you guys is that we have one house right now, and we're going to do one house, one block, one community. We're going to rebuild. I'm talking to the aldermen individually. How can we get a neighborhood watch? How can I do, my foster kids right now, we cut grass. They each have one of those lots from R1. So if there's an elderly person or someone that can't cut the grass on our block, we're going to cut it for them. We want to make our block beautiful. We're going to start with that. I talked to Chief Red the other day. How can we get, even if we need those little cameras that they have in Chicago, if we can get that. But I want our communities to start talking. So we're going to start on that. The other thing, what else I want to talk about? Oh, so yeah, so we're working with those. So I talked to Alderwoman Punty the other day. She's helped me. I'm in Ward 7. I think that's Wilkinson. So I'm going to talk to her because I want the aldermen, I want the whole community to be part of this action. Because, I mean, I'm not from here, I'm from Delaware, but like I've been here like, what, 18 years now? And I see what Rockford can offer. I see it's a gold mine. And then with all this new stuff going on, like, why not? So you keep an eye on Facebook or whatever for Papa's House, and you're going to see changes. Because we started one, and then we're going to move over to the veterans. And then we want to do, they don't have like a re-entry program right here, right now. Hey, we want to start that. And then we have the classes. We have this one class called Mind Your Business that Hope Fellowship Church is on. You have a lot of people here that want to be entrepreneurs.
You've reached the 3 minutes.
Yeah.
Sir. Yeah.
Any questions?
Questions?
Okay.
I do have a question. Where are you located?
I'm doing it from my house right now.
Okay.
Yeah.
I would definitely take a card because you are in a ward where we're offering programmatics, and you would fit really well into some of the programs that we have.
Okay, definitely. Definitely, yep.
Brother Chair, also know that in previous meetings, the underlining current is lack of communication.
Yes.
And the irony of this is I've been here 6.5 years, never heard of your organization or anything like that. And based upon what you're providing, like partnerships possibly with Habitat for Humanity,
Yes.
There's another individual that use young adults to do concrete and things like that.
Yep.
And so I think that if we can communicate what we're doing, and so people can understand and know what's going on, because I like you I'm not from Rockford, but it has so many possibilities and so many things that we can actually do. But when there's a lack of communication, there's a breakdown, and so it feels like you're on an island by yourself. So I would love to take your information as well,
sure.
so that we can kind of do some,
It's going to happen. Trust me, it's going to happen.
Just a comment, and thank you for what you're doing. It's really important work. It would fit in very well with the regrow grant program that this community does this commission does the evaluations of the proposal. So I'd strongly encourage you to watch for those grant announcements for the 2025 into 2026 programs. Those should be coming out later probably fall timeframe.
We'll start a new cycle in, I believe, January, February of 2026.
Okay.
I think you'd be highly competitive.
Okay, because I'm using some of the people that use that grant, and they're helping us with what we're doing. Yep. Okay.
If I may, one quick question. I'm sorry. My name is Michaela. I'm with the city. The youth that you're working with, is the goal to be able to have them get some work experience so they can become employable? Is that the goal with what you're currently doing?
That, we're teaching them soft skills, because a lot of them may be able to do the work, but they can't interview, right? So we're doing it from the beginning to the end. And some of the youth, we're getting into school. We're working with the schools to get them before they even get out of school. So
Okay.
And then go ahead.
No, that's fine. I just wanted to let you know, I'd like to get your information as well. I've been doing a lot of work with our local pre-apprenticeship programs and working with youth. We have some ideas and plans. I'm looking at Juria because I've been working a lot with her. Some plans in place to really kind of move this forward.
Okay.
And I think what you're doing really aligns with what we're trying to do.
Okay.
So just get you brought up to speed with what we're doing and kind of bring you into the fold.
Yes. Can I ask one question or no? Sure. So the biggest thing I need help with is what's the rules in Rockford for these abandoned houses with the boarded up? Because if we're building a better Rockford in this community, and this house is abandoned for like 10 years, and no one's doing anything to it, it's not going to help out. So we want to, if we have to purchase it, if we have to, whatever we need to do, we want to get that house
I got your golden ticket right here.
Oh, okay.
If you want more, I got one here too.
Thank you so much. Yeah, yeah.
I'll talk to you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The next person is John Paul Rudolph. Okay. So we have reached the end of our signed up list. We have in front of us, you all have in your packets, a few notes from community members who could not make it here tonight. We'll read those in and pause for questions on those as well. So the first one we received is from Brandon Ennis, and it says, "Hello, if you could please address the road conditions throughout Rockford as roads are deteriorating. If you could please look at and address particular ones, such as the stretch on Alpine Road from Pepper Drive to Guilford, as many of those have rough spots and potholes. Another road that is particularly in need of fixing is Perryville, particularly from East State to Harrison. Also, Spring Creek Road from Alpine to Perryville. There are other roads that need to be fixed, to be addressed as well, but please take into consideration the day, the commute, the residents to make for a smooth ride. Fixing and maintaining our infrastructure is very important. If you could please take my words into consideration and address those concerns about roadways in Rockford and fixing them, thank you." So that is from Brandon Ennis, related to fixing roads in Rockford.
Brother Chair.
Yeah.
I think that the city has already worked on passing one of the largest infrastructure projects, and there's a lot of work that's going on right now. So I believe that the city is very aware, just as I am, with the condition of our roads. But I believe that the city is addressing those issues even right now.
Absolutely. Can I ask someone from city, and I'm happy to help facilitate that, can we reach out to this individual and make sure that they know about all of the work that you all are doing, so they know where these where the roads are on that list?
I was just going to suggest sending him a copy of the capital development program, the PowerPoint briefing that we received last year on that, because it does give a lot. But I'd also urge him to reach out to his aldermen, because there are ward-based project funds out there available if he's got specific localized concerns.
Any other thoughts?
This doesn't say which ward he's in.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, all I can say is I spent the afternoon running errands and I couldn't get anywhere for road construction, so we're fixing a lot right now.
We are. Okay. The next letter that we have in front of us comes from Carl Cole, related to personal use vehicles and e-bikes. It says, "Regretfully, I will be unable to attend this meeting. Thank you for the opportunity to comment. To the best of my knowledge, the city of Rockford does not have e-bike regulations. In recent observations and personal experience, I have noted that the use of various unregulated bikes, as defined by current regulatory language, being ridden on passenger sidewalks, multiple use paths, in the streets, heavily traveled pedestrian areas, or all of the above. This has been discussed with my alderman, but it was a one-way discussion. I've attached a copy of Roselle City Code, Roselle, Illinois, which is very detailed and more definitive than the generic state code. I would suggest the city adopt a similar regulation to ensure a culture of safety in our city. My skin in this issue was the result of being struck by a large e-bike. Fortunately, all that I've received is some road rash. My dog fared better, just from missing tufts of hair. Complex issue, easy fix. While policing is an issue, we should have the city policy on the books if needed. He also goes on to say that if we need his public involvement, he's available. So, just wants us to look at potential ordinance for e-bikes.
What did I just see about unlicensed specific vehicles? Isn't there something in the works?
Well, I think there's two things in the works that I'm aware of that I've seen. number one, I think the council or the city just did increased enforcement on, but that's not like e-bikes, that's more the folks that are running all over town on four-wheelers. But I also saw that the mayor's creating another commission related to traffic safety. And that this would seem to be a great issue for that particular commission to address. So I'd suggest we forward this to the folks that are working that and ask them to consider this topic as they start to look at a more deliberate plan.
I think the commission is on pedestrian safety, isn't it?
I think so.
As it relates to being hit
Yes.
by vehicles.
Which is what this.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I just want to ask a quick clarification. I know this has probably been said, but we will hear on some of these things that require follow-ups. We'll hear back in the next meeting or by email or.
So we've been reaching out to each of the folks who sent notes in. If they have any feedback for us, we'll also let them know that it's been read in tonight. If they have any feedback for us, they're more than welcome to share that.
But we'll find out as well?
We'll find out. We'll have more conversations about it.
Yeah.
I would say if that is the desire of the commission, that we look deeper into some of these things that are shared in front of us tonight by folks in the audience or on these emails, then yes, we can ask for more clarification.
Yeah, just for my part, it would be great, not talking about a lot, but just like a couple sentences or whatever about what might have transpired. I mean, if they're not really actionable and we're not, we don't
Right.
have a response, that's one thing, but I don't know. I'm just speaking for myself, so.
Sure.
Issue status.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, we have one more, and I'm actually going to ask for a favor on this one, friends. I am recovering from a cold, and my voice is going in and out. Can I have one of you read this last one into the record? From J.P. Rudd. You all should have it in your packet.
I'll go. To whom it may concern, I would like to speak at this forum, but currently have a conflict. I have not submitted the request to speak due to this conflict. I do not want to take someone else's position if I cannot make this meeting due to my conflict. What options do I have if I cannot make the forum?
Commissioner? Commissioner? The person's statement is on the second page of that particular packet.
When are we going to get to this? Sorry.
Do we need to read the whole thing into the record?
I don't believe we need to read the email that he sent, but if the...
But we need to read his comments. We've been reading everyone else's comments. Let's read his into the record as well.
Well, we'll start with his biggest problems facing the country's unnecessary loss of American lives. I believe the root cause of some of these deaths is due to corporate greed. My proposed solution is to give victims the same rights as alleged criminals. Unfortunately, I doubt there is a lawyer in this country that will take the case unless it is financially justified. If victims had a public prosecutor, they would get their day in court and would not need to take matters into their own hands and go postal. Right now, victims have to depend on companies doing what is right. That's obviously not going to happen because if companies actually cared about doing the right thing, they would not short victims' benefits in the first place. Here's why I believe companies short retirees, former employees, and customer benefits. Most retirees and former employees do not verify that the benefit amount they are being paid is correct. Why would the company they dedicated an entire career to short them a benefit? The few retirees and former employees that do verify are too small to fight a large company, so the company just ignores them. A similar situation occurs with a health care insurer such as United Health when it denies a claim, coverage, or treatment. Either the victim does not check his or her benefits and simply pays the upcharge. The victim thinks it is easier to just pay the upcharge, or if he or she does complain to the company simply ignores him or her. This is lengthy. However, if these victims had a public prosecutor to fight for them, companies might think twice about shorting victims' benefits. Do we need to verbally read this whole thing?
I just have a question too. We should, this should be limited to, was it 3 minutes?
Still limited to the minutes, right?
have even taken 3 minutes.
Yeah.
It's, yes, it's still limited to 3 minutes.
Go on?
Go ahead.
All righty. We all know Luigi Maggione, the suspect in the shooting death of United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson, allegedly wrote the words deny, defend, and depose on shell casings and the word delay on a bullet, possibly referencing tactics used by insurance companies. If he had his day in court, would he have taken it to this extreme? United Health is not the only large company to follow this practice, deny, delay, defend, and depose. Collins Aerospace, parent company of United Technologies, Raytheon, right here in Rockford, follows this exact same practice. Here's just one example. I filed an appeal of my pension calculation starting my earnings should only be held constant until age 55. As page 11 of the SPD clearly states, that if I meet the rule of 65 when I leave UTC, my earnings should only be held constant until age 55. UTC contends that because I did not meet the rule of 65 when the plan was frozen and only met the rule of 65 when I left UTC, it is correct in holding my earnings constant until age 65, and thus reducing its pension payment. UTC cited page 11 of the SPD in this denial, deny first step in the practice, even though it clearly supports my case. First bullet in the case below.
Commissioner, you can go ahead and stop the timer
Yeah.
off. Commissioners, do you have any thoughts or feedback?
I don't know what the ask is, and I don't know what we as a commission could do in relationship to it. But we can't. I think there should be a response to him, and if there's any further that the commission can do based upon what he's requesting, because I didn't see it in this, then we should follow up with it.
City Legal, I'll work with you guys to craft a response, if that makes sense.
Just as a matter, I think what he's asking for is for the city or some other public body to represent him in a lawsuit against a private corporation. As a matter of policy, I think that's a bad idea. I don't think the city should be picking sides in private lawsuits.
Yeah.
However, I would encourage him to take a look around. There are a lot of public service law firms and a lot of attorneys that will take cases on contingency. I think he got bad advice when he was told nobody will ever take your case. There's always a lawyer that'll take a case.
Now, there is public advocacy available.
But I don't think the city should take that up.
I was going to say the same thing. I mean, lawyers do pro bono. And there was a statement in this letter that said lawyers don't do anything without money and without financial compensation. And that's just, as Commissioner Burton has said, that's just incorrect. So.
Okay. Well, we have reached the end of the folks who have signed up and the end of folks who sent letters to us expressing concerns. So with that, I will close the special open forum and we'll move on to the rest of our business as a commission. The next thing in discussion is scheduling a public housing update and reports. So I will start that. I had a meeting a few weeks ago with Alan Zeiss. He has expressed a desire. I know there's a couple other commissioners who met with him as well. He's expressed a desire to come and share with us some of the things that he's working on, some of the things that he's concerned about, and the impact that those things may have on housing here in Rockford. I think if we're going to offer Alan the opportunity to come, we should also reach out to Laura and RHA and offer them the same opportunity. I think we might want to think about doing those on separate evenings so that we have time to really dive down and talk to each one of them about what's going on in the housing community. So as we think about scheduling a housing forum, you all have in your packet the action plan for 2025. Do you have an idea of when you would like to bring them? Are there other housing folks you would like to bring? And when should we start reaching out to Alan and Laura to schedule time for them to meet with you all?
I just have a quick question. And I know we're going to be hearing from them on separate nights or separate meetings, but if they could just do an ABC cheat sheet on the differences between the RHA and the Winnebago County Housing Authority and the statutory differences and kind of in layman's terms where the overlap is, if any, that would be great.
Yep, we can request that from them, yes.
And Brother Chair, I don't think that we should even have it on separate dates. I think that we should have all of them in place, just like we normally would do over here. We can submit as a commission some questions that they can to answer, but I don't think we should draw it out by each.
I hear you. I agree with you. I think from talking to some folks, there might be some need to do it separate, though.
If I could speak from a city perspective, I think that it needs to be done on separate nights. There's pending litigation at this point between the two entities, so best would be to have them come on separate nights. We can pose questions ahead of time, whether we want an ABC list or whatever it is that we would like to have. We can absolutely do that, but I think for all intents and purposes, it would have to be done on separate nights.
That might be the problem we have with housing.
So what do you all think about housing? How soon do we want to bring them to the table?
Is the topics we would be addressing them related to the lawsuits? And if so, is it appropriate for us to engage at this point with pending litigation?
I've confirmed with city leadership that we can do this before today's meeting, so it's fine to proceed. We just want to be mindful of the situation, and I think having them on separate nights allows for that.
And I think, Todd, to answer your question, I think from talking to at least one of them, the interest isn't to tell us about the legal, it's to help us understand where barriers may be existing because of the relationship breakdowns.
So I have a question. So just for clarity, how many entities are we looking at? So I know we're looking at Winnebago and we're looking at RHA. You said it's another.
Are there no? I asked. Are there others that you would like?
So it's just those two.
Just those two. I know Winnebago County has expressed an interest. Obviously, if we're going to offer that to Alan, we should do the same thing for Laura. Okay. If there are other organizations, though, we can have those conversations too.
The only reason why I ask is because if the only issue is between those two entities, if there are any others, let's stack them up and have that kind of.
I would agree. If there are others, then yes,
okay,
we could do them together. Yeah.
Yep. So this lawsuit has been filed in a public court. Is that correct? What is it about?
I'm not going to speak on that. I don't think that that's our place, but there are issues there.
Is it possible, Brother Chair,
yeah,
as we're looking at scheduling, because it looks like in June that we have the regrow update and report, but it looks like in July we still have to be determined. Is it possible that we can schedule do a July as well as a September, since those two panels are still be determined, or is that possible?
I think we could, yeah. That's what those are there for, is for us to fill them in with who we see fit.
Will we be ready for a regrow updated report already? I know it was a little behind. Will we be ready?
I think so. I think many of those grants started in January, so we should be able to do a regrow update. EEOP is kind of just moving down the line with current federal orders and things like that. So we're moving that down the line. And then, as Eric said, these discussion panels, the housing authorities could be simply a report if that's what you would like, because we focused a lot on housing last year. I think that was kind of the hope, that we would just kind of get an update, hey, where are you guys at, kind of check the pulse there. Or we could have another panel discussion, but it would be kind of hard with having those two on separate nights, but we can absolutely do that if that's what the commission would like to see. And then I think the other panel discussions were to kind of start addressing some of the topics that we heard tonight. We could also do another special open forum if more folks would like to be able to come and speak as we advertise this opportunity more to the community. I think the rest of the year is kind of our playground, what we would like to do and how much we want to open it up to the community. But I think the primary focus of these panel discussions were to start addressing some of the concerns that residents were raising and bringing industry experts to the table to start discussing options.
Is there a possibility then that we just submit the questions that we have as a commission to them, and they can just respond back with an email to address those, and we just have a discussion right there versus?
We could, yeah, absolutely.
Or also, Eric, in their questioning is whatever that they are asking of us as a commission that they want to allow us to know, if that's something that they can submit to us also, because I know that's one of the biggest concerns, that someone wants to let us know as a commission.
Yes.
Some information.
Absolutely. Yeah, we can reach out to them both via email and ask them to put that in writing for us, and we can review it, and if we decide then at that point, hey, we have more questions that would make sense for them to be here, we can do that too.
Thank you.
Eric,
Yeah.
I think we've kind of got a sense of the commission here. I would be very comfortable deferring to you and city staff working out the scheduling details rather than to hash out calendars here tonight.
Sure, yeah, we can all sit down and figure it out. Okay. The next thing, just to kind of talk through, same thing, we can work with city staff to schedule, but in our last few sessions, we've heard a lot about mental health. We've heard a lot of folks talk about how they didn't know that mental health services were available in our community or didn't know where to go to get those services. So we should probably have a conversation around mental health. If we set it up like we've done previously, where we've had content experts come and talk to us, who needs to be at the table? For me, the first comes to mind is the folks doing the mental health grant for Region 1 planning, so like Jason and his team. Who else needs to be at the table?
Does the mental health board have a chairman or a chairwoman?
Yes, we could invite the mental
Perhaps
health board.
that person as well.
I would be curious to know, there are a lot of mental health counseling facilities. Most of it is a Medicare, Medicaid supported or private insurance supported type of situation. I would be very curious to know what other outside agencies, benevolent agencies there are in the mental health. I don't know what we have in this community that actually can outreach and offer public mental health.
As, Brother Chair, as we're trying to identify those, and I echo, there are nonprofit organizations that kind of specialize in those things, and then we also need to reach out. Particularly, I know we had a discussion with different community groups, so we want to make sure that while we're doing mental health, we're very aware of different groups for just their safety and all of those as we look into it. So not just your major organizations, but if there's some nonprofit organizations that can be identified, we want to invite them to this as well to see how we can kind of come together.
Awesome, thank you. Any other feedback on mental health?
If it would be beneficial, I can reach out to R1. They have right around 40 or just over 40 core programs that's funded by the mental health tax. We have 4 programs here at the city alone: fire, police, Health and Human Services, and then our Family Peace Center. So we can truly, I mean, anybody from Marshmallows Hope to our own CCRT, we can get those folks to the table. But like I said, there's over 40 core programs that the Mental Health Board funds, non-for-profit and for-profit.
And maybe that's part of having R1 here, is we can ask Jason to quickly go over each organization and what they do.
I think you highlight an important point, and this is an issue near and dear to my heart. I just completed, I think, 7 years service on the Shelter Care Ministries Board. They have some excellent programs that ought to be highlighted. My one concern is we have a limited amount of time and capacity, and there is an entire mental health board responsible for this topic. Is there something we can add value to that isn't already being done or attempted to be done by other places in the community? I think we have an opportunity to raise the visibility of topics, but this one, in my opinion, might be a step too far.
Yes, and I also think we heard folks come to us and say that they didn't know those services are available. So I think even if we brought the Mental Health Board here to say, you all may not have heard this, but we did. Community members have come to us and said they don't know how to get your services, they don't know where your services are. What are you doing to communicate that, and how can we work with you to make sure that gets communicated? I don't know that the Mental Health Board knows that folks don't know how to get services. Right? Maybe they do, but we have an opportunity to bring them here and help them understand what the community brought to us.
And then also, Brother Chair, that's county. The city has a responsibility as well to highlight those. And so since we have this platform to do it, even if we don't bring all 40, we need to at least bring something here, because as everyone has said in multiple meetings, there's a breakdown in communication. And so if there's a breakdown in communication for nonprofits and other organizations, there's a breakdown in communication relationship to our mental health. And we know that's a serious issue that needs to be addressed. And all of the areas that we can highlight it, we should do so.
I absolutely agree with that. I think these issues are intertwined. I think when we've listened to enough panels to know that mental health and housing are really hard to tease out, right? And I think at the very least, I would appreciate, again, one commissioner would appreciate a basic understanding of the Mental Health Board and the function it serves in our community, and again, how it impacts housing and the challenges of people seeking housing.
Agreed.
Okay, awesome. We can get that started. Yeah.
Hi, thank you. I just want to kind of piggyback, or maybe be talking about a little bit something different. Thank you for allowing me to speak. That I just ask that as you all seek out people to hear from, that you, yes, the nonprofits, but that recognize also that for different communities, this might look a little bit different. So if you're going for the traditional folks, or even if you're going for the folks that traditionally receive funding, you might be missing some communities. So I ask you to seek diversity.
Thank you. Very important.
One of the things, Chair, just to piggyback on Alderman Pruitt, I think one of the things that we've experienced with previous meetings with having diverse groups is the sensitivity level and understanding the needs. And so I think that as a commission, as we're looking at that, we'll make sure that diversity is one of the things, and inclusion is one of the things that we're looking at when we're bringing programs like that to the forefront.
Absolutely. Yes, no problem. Okay, the next discussion item is a space for us to think about what we heard tonight, what we've heard from some of our more targeted discussions of the last few months. Have any of those come to the top where you are saying, I want to have this be a topic of discussion over the next few months so that we can make a real impact for our communities?
I had one. that I just mentioned it because it came up from a gentleman who was a property owner, business owner in the 3rd Ward downtown, who has, and this deals with this whole subject of blight and redevelopment, et cetera, and what can we do as a city, who has himself in his neighborhood, in his block, purchased blighted buildings, abandoned buildings, and taken them down himself, out of pocket, to improve the neighborhood. He had an issue, and I've already discussed it with the alderman, and it's being discussed with the city, but his basic issue was he has this one office building that he wants to raise, and there's an issue with the water shutoff that's going to be an additional $5,000. And he feels that if he's put out of pocket doing this, that the city should meet him somewhere on this. Now, I understand the various arguments on both sides of the coin, but we don't really have a mechanism for someone who wants to themselves invest in removing blight to maybe assist them in that case. Again, I don't have a suggestion on this one, but it was brought up, and it is an issue that we do see. So, as a matter of an awareness, this did come to me from the community.
City staff, do you have anything for that?
I can speak to this just a little bit. I do know that there are several programs out there that do help with blighted structures, but I do believe that most of those are targeted towards owner-occupants of those structures. I can take a look and see what other possible additional programs that there might be, but at this time I don't think that I have any real information on this subject that would help further this conversation.
Yeah.
Anything else, Commission, that you wanted to bring forward that we haven't already discussed? Well, before we get into Commissioners' reports, then I will just say to the community that is here, please know that this space is always open to you. We are always open for conversations. If something is happening in our city and you need us to know about it, get in touch with us. Our information is available on the website. You can submit information. We'll get emails. Have conversations with us. Please come to these meetings. We really this year want to open the doors to this room and make it your space to tell us what's happening in the community. So thank you all for coming, and we look forward to continuing conversations. So with that, we'll move on to Commissioners' reports.
Good evening. Just one item. The June is coming up, and June is, of course, Pride Month. The Rockford Area Pride Parade will be on Saturday, June 7th at noon, and it will be followed by a street festival that will be occurring just right across the street from here that afternoon. I would encourage all members of the commission and all members of the community to attend and celebrate Pride next month.
Can you make sure that we have that information gets sent to all of us so that we have it? Thank you.
I can do that, yes.
Any other commissioners' reports?
Yeah, I just wanted to offer my reflections. I had the honor and the great fortune to grab one of the last seats in the council chambers for Monday's swearing in of the alderman and the mayor. And I have to say that it was inspirational, that it reminded me of why public service is such a calling. And I just wanted to say thank you, especially to our two aldermen present. Thank you for your service, and again, it was a great opportunity. And thank you to our legal staff, gave me the heads up and said that the council chambers opened at 5 o'clock, because I was there and I had my tag. It said I was a commissioner, and so I think the tag helped me get in and snag that last seat. So thank you.
Any other reports? City staff, do you all have anything for us? Okay. We have some aldermen with us. Do you all, either of you, want to address the commission?
Sure. Thank you for allowing me to speak. I just want to say thank you to this commission. This is my second official meeting as alderman, and super grateful for everyone who serves on the commissions and city council. But hearing the conversations today, I really think that because of you guys, our city is going to be a better place. So thank you. I look forward to coming back more consistently as well.
Thank you also, and thank you for the acknowledgement. I really don't have anything. I think I'm going to address you in the form that you asked, because I heard some things, and I'm looking forward to sharing some things. I think we started a little conversation, but I think that those might be things that you can work on, or you can consider working on. So thank you for all that you do. Appreciate the time that you are putting in. Volunteering is never easy, so appreciate you. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. With that, I will take a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
We'll see you all next